Faith gave me the knowledge and the stamina how to face survival. My name is Rabbi Philip Lazowski. I was born in northern Poland in 1930, a family of 7, 5 children. I had a most wonderful, happy childhood. The family was always together. We had the grandparents with us, living in the same town that we used to go every Saturday to visit. I recall the marketplace that was surrounded by all stores from all sides, and my mother's store was right up front that I used to go visit whenever I had a chance. And my father was in the fishing business.
Although Philip had a good childhood, soon after, he and his family were faced with the German invasion of the Soviet Union. German forces marched into Belgica and began to slaughter the Jewish population in a mass killing operation. The remaining Jews of Belgica, including Philip and his family, were banished to the Zettel ghetto.
Sooner or later, you come to realize that life and death is very close, that surely I'm going to die. Food was very, very scarce. Everything was surrounded. You couldn't go anyplace. We didn't have any kind of toys to play or bicycles to ride. We just came with nothing because we didn't have much. Everything was burned to the ground. And then the shouting and the shooting started. The shooting to put the fear, and the shouting, everybody to the marketplace. So everybody went in to the cave, and I, as the firstborn, closed the cave, the entrance to the cave, such a way that they shouldn't be noticed and recognized. And I said, I will hide someplace else. As soon as I finished covering the cave, the entrance to the cave, a German came in and says, where's your family? I says, they went. What are you doing here? I said, I forgot my coat. You don't need a coat. Get, otherwise I'll kill you right now. Go to the marketplace. And I'm standing there and I said to myself, this is the end.
In 1942, the Germans carried out a roundup in the Zettel ghetto, driving Jews from their homes to the central marketplace. At this time, Philip met a woman who would be credited for saving his life.
And she's holding a piece of paper. Then I came over to her and I said, what kind of piece of paper you have? Oh, he says, I'm a nurse. Oh, he said, you know, they need nurses. So can you take me as your son? When I came up there, I asked her, what's your name? And she told me her name is Rabinowitz, which I did not forget. And I thanked her. I saw the lady maybe less than 20 minutes, 50 minutes, but I never forgot her face. I always pictured her face in my mind. And then the final solution, Judenrein, everybody gets killed.
There was such events that happened, you know, in succession that is part of it was my destiny. even being here and telling you the story. I was destined probably to do it. My name is Ruth Rabinowitz, and I was born on June 9, 1935, in a small town in Poland called Rzetel. My father was in the lumber business with my grandfather. My mother had a drugstore, and the drugstore was in front of the house. And just a little further on the other side of the square where my grandfather lives, my father's parents lived. I don't know how successful we were. That I really don't know, and I never asked my parents, but we were probably quite comfortable. I had a happy childhood, and with a close family around. And then there was a notice that all the Jews have to go into a ghetto. So life was going on, although we knew that something bad will happen eventually, because then everybody started building hiding places. There was a hole in the ground. You walked down the steps, and there was a small room. And the room had benches all around. On the one bench, there was a trap door. And you had to go under that bench and move the trap door, and then there was a bigger room. And we were lucky because the Germans found the first hiding place, but we were in the second hiding place. My mother she was not a nurse, but because she knew medication, she had a certificate that she was a nurse. And my father had a certificate that he could work. He was a tall man, strong, and the Germans at that point were looking for people to work. So we go to the marketplace, and there was a lot of pushing and shoving. So my sister, my mother, and I were standing for ourselves, and we saw a German standing there with his finger going right and left to decide who should live and who should die. You know, it didn't take much to realize that which side it was the right side to be on. They told everyone to lie down with their face down. And then all of a sudden, the Germans started yelling, Tischler, Tischler. The word Tischler in German means carpenter. My father didn't hear exactly what they were saying, so he raised his head. So the Germans said to come, to get up and go. There was a movie theater in Rzetel where they gathered all the Jews, and from there they took him to different ghettos for work. So my father ended up in that theater. Me, my mother, my sister, my aunt, we were in the hiding place. We stayed there a whole day. We stayed there at night, and we stayed there another day. And we heard everything that was going on. The Coopermans had a child who was, he was a little boy, maybe he was 2 years old, and he started crying. And someone in the hiding place put his hand on the baby, the mouth and the nose, and choked the baby to death. Always in a group. We were called Semenia Gruppe, a family group, so we weren't with the partisans. But the partisans, when they went to, to get food or something, many of them brought some things to us. In the wintertime, my sister and I had these boots, but they were just, like boots that you put the felt inside the boot. We only had the felt. So walking around a whole day in the snow, it used to get wet. And I remember my father used to say to us, we should sleep one on top of the other so that our feet wouldn't freeze. My sister used to say to my mother in Yiddish, "Mir als eins nicht überleben." Meaning, no matter what you do, we're not going to survive. And my mother used to get so angry at her, and she used to think, oh, a child said it, maybe it's true. But I was the opposite. I always am. I'm a very optimistic person. And I never said that. I used to say, we'll survive.
After World War II, only a few Jewish people survived the Holocaust and were liberated. During this time, Philip then traveled to New York to attend Brooklyn College, while Ruth and her family settled in Hartford, Connecticut. Due to a mutual friend, the two were brought together at the end of their trauma, making this a true love story.
Hi, my name is Alan Lazowski. I am the son of two Holocaust survivors, Rabbi Philip and Ruth Lazowski. You know, there was an element of our family story that was a story of being a love story, of a story of survival that was somewhat amazing. And my parents and my grandparents chose to share those stories with us. You know, I remember just feeling so proud of where my family came from and how they survived and what they ended up doing in this country. As years went on, I got to appreciate the success that they've had in their survival.
We ended up in Hartford, Connecticut because we had a cousin here, the Khrushchevskys, who were quite comfortable, and they paid our way to come to here.
For 2 years, I went at night to high school, and I graduated. When I graduated, I got accepted to Brooklyn College and the Yeshiva University.
In Italy, I had a very good friend. Her name was Gisa, or Gloria in English, and she ended up in New York. She comes to visit us. And she stayed a few days, and then I said, why didn't you stay for the weekend? And she said, I can't because I was invited to a wedding from people from the town of Belitsa, a son of someone, you know. And my mother heard the word Belitsa. And she says, you know, I once saved a boy from the town of Belitsa. I don't know if it survived, but, you know, ask.
One of the classmates got married and invited the whole class to go. That was the custom, to invite all the boys. So he invited me to go to the wedding.
So, you know, at the wedding, they put young people at the same table, and they put my friend next to this boy from Belitsa.
And she asked me where you come from, and I told him, oh, you wouldn't know, I come from a little town called Belitsa.
She said, you know, I have a friend in Hartford, Connecticut, whose mother saved a boy from Belitsa. And as she was saying the story, he said, you know, it was in the ghetto of Zhetel, and he says, where are they? I'm the boy.
Right away, I called her, went downstairs, and I called the operator, and I asked, can I get Rabinowitz? He says, which Rabinowitz do you want? I said, how many do you have? He says, I have 5. He says, well, pick the first one. She picked the first one. That was the right one. I just embraced her, and I hold her tight, and I cried out of joy that she's alive. It took me a while, but I finally got around to talking to one of those little girls I met in the marketplace. Ruth and I were married on December 11, 1955, and were blessed with 3 wonderful sons who married 3 lovely women who gave us 7 beautiful grandchildren. Some people believe in Bashartkeit, that it is destined.
I have a picture of my kindergarten class of about 25 kids, 2 teachers. I'm the only one that survived. I do think about it. I do think, why am I the one? I don't know.
If you look for a reason, there's many reasons that don't make sense, and some reasons do make sense. The reason that we are together, that's the only reason there is. That's the reason.